Yes, we are live. Good morning, gentlemen. Thank you so much for coming over this morning. We're gonna have fun for next 60 to 65 minutes. I'm gonna be shooting questions, and you would like to get your answers. Let me introduce our speakers first. Let me introduce Mark first because Mark came in first uh, in the session. Mark, good morning. Mark is the CEO of Ultimate Vitality. He's an entrepreneur and Amazon consulting entrepreneur and Amazon consulting management services. Ultimate Vitality is a health and wellness company and is focusing on improving nutrition and education and supplementation of people. He is a bachelor in arts in nursing from Montana University, Bozeman. Mark, good morning. Thank you so much for coming over this morning.
Thank you.
Derek. Derek Thomas is in the CBD business. He's the guy which makes us high. He is passionate about health and wellness executive, vice president of business development at Veritas Farms, laser focus on creative growth initiatives. He's a TEDx speaker. He spoke on a topic called rethinking humanity relationship with cannabis. He's a BA in English honors from Florida State University, and he volunteers in preserving wildlife. Derek, good morning, and thank you so much for this morning. Would love to learn more about you.
Good morning.
Good morning, Lauren. Over to Jeremy. Jeremy is our furniture and safety guy. He is a CEO at Murphy Doors. They try to make doors with as much with resources available currently, and they try to reduce exploiting natural resources. So they're using what is available and not exploit natural resources. Murphy Door was listed as America's fastest growing company under the leadership of Jeremy. And Jeremy is also a firefighter and a paramedic in Weber County. He's the CEO of Murphy Ladder Company as well. Jeremy, thank you so much for coming over this morning. Really appreciate your time.
No problem. Glad to be here.
Thank you so much. And last but not the least, we have Lauren, who came just in time. Thank you so much, Lauren. You got to unmute yourself. Lauren is the CEO and founder of Fleurty Girl, and they make apparel, accessories, and home decor inspired by New Orleans. And most of the products that they make are crafted by locals living in New Orleans. She was also a radio jockey on 96.1 The River, and she is graduated from Louisiana State University. Thank you so much, Lauren, for coming over this morning. Can't wait to talk to you all. Glad you all are here. Let me ask my first question to Derek. I think, Derek, tell us something about your business and how have been the last 7 months for you?
Sure. I think our business is in a bit of an inflection point in the CBD industry. We have a couple of outside pressures kind of constraining our growth, not just for Veritas Farms as an organization, but for the industry overall. And the biggest factor for us is the federal government and the ambiguity in different elements of our businesses, whether it's in marketing, banking, formulations, product descriptions, even delivery methods. So, for us specifically, the big mark when it comes to federal regulation, and that kind of has created a 50-state marketplace. It's forced retailers to become regulators. It's forced marketers to become regulators. So those challenges are still a bit pervasive throughout our industry. When you tack on COVID on top of that, obviously a lot of business models were changed this year. Our industry is no different. We saw a huge shift where retail was already struggling due to these federal regulations or the lack thereof. retail became even more of a struggle. This category was trending towards just another CPG health and wellness type of consumer product. And in line with that, we were seeing strong grocery pickup, strong growth in grocery. But of course, COVID made a huge shift to online consumer habits. So we made a big shift in our business model as well. And that's really what this year has been for us, has been trying to stay ahead of the curve, trying to foresee where the puck is going, and making strategic decisions to, best align with our organizational goals.
Excellent. Wonderful. So, Derek, my follow-up question, are you selling online as well?
We are. And fortunately, our goal was not just to be a CPG retail company from outset. We started building a robust online ecosystem in about the middle of 2017. So for us, to pivot more resources to our online revenue channels was not an extreme pivot. So we were fortunate in that, come March and April of this year, we just reallocated some of our resources that we had originally intended for things like traditional marketing, trade shows, and we reallocated them towards additional advertising spends, some more SEO juice, some different influencer type of relationships. So the pivot wasn't exhaustive, and it was very impactful. So I say that we played it right, but there's still a lot more to come this year and next year. So we'll see.
Mm-hmm. Excellent, wonderful. Thank you so much, Derek, for putting the context right. Looking forward to speak to you more in the discussion. Over to Jeremy. Jeremy, tell us about your business. How did you transition from being a firefighter and being a paramedic to somebody who's now making doors? How has the journey been?
So it's been quite a good morning, everybody, by the way. It's nice to see y'all this morning. 7:30 here in the morning, so it's nice. I just skipped the gym for you guys, so just so you know, I need it too, but that's all right. So anyhow, as you can see, I haven't shaved. I've taken a couple weeks off, but I still do firefighting and paramedicine. It's my passion, and it's been one of those deals that I've had a really hard time giving up, even though businesses all in all have been doing extremely well. In 2012, I was still working full-time fire paramedics, or I was working full-time fire and paramedicine. I just had a hard time rubbing two nickels together. They don't make a whole lot of money. You're always working 2 or 3 jobs. And we were trying to figure out a way to make it so I didn't work as much as I did, or I was family or work. And I had to make a quick choice in which one I was going to choose. So we created a hinge that made our Murphy door systems, which is a hidden door bookcase system, unique and in a facet that would work. So you could take these big wide doors that were truly hidden and make them function like a door. So that first step was making a hinge and finding a subcontractor who could build those for us. And we did that. And in 2013, we made our first run of sales and a total revenue of $30,000, which I thought was great. It was almost half of what I made at the fire department as a part-time gig. But more and more people required or was asking for a hidden door to be built for them. And we didn't have the facility to do so. So we found some horizontal integration partners, people that were on the outside that did cabinets. Kitchen cabinets is what they are, really on a hinge, and they helped us start. In 2014, we were at a builder show and Home Depot picked us up as a vendor. So we started selling just strictly .com through Home Depot initially. And that was a good help our growth engine for us and pushed our sales up significantly. And it's been kind of that way all the way through to this year. And with Corona, we've seen the same thing initially, Derek, as your team, is a huge shift from retail into direct to consumer from our website. And that really increased us even more. We grew 54.9% from March till now. So it's been really, really hard to keep up with. We've added another 50,000 square feet of facilities and a bunch of other automation to try to keep up with demand. And still currently, I haven't done a great job with that piece. We're 14.36 weeks out, so almost 14 and a half weeks to get a door. We're building a door every 6 minutes at an average ticket of $1,580. So really, really hard. We're working 2.5 shifts. It's been a really difficult thing for us, and we a lot of sleepless nights trying to maintain that. Hence days off from the fire station. To correlate with that, we started Murphy Ladder this year as well, which has been extremely interesting for us. We went from a 0 ladder sale company this year to gross revenues of 15 million from March till now. It's been super, super tough. It landed, Home Depot ordered that all in-store, in-line, in-channel, and all during Corona. So you can imagine, you know, you have 100,000 ladders coming in being docked. At the same time, China's starting to shut down and Newsom saying you can't come across California docks. So it's been a really long year. We've had a great year, but it's not been without its stresses, that's for sure. So.
Excellent. I think you have a great story, Jeremy. Thank you so much for being on the panel and for guiding our attendees, people who are listening to us. Thank you so much. Thank you very much.
Yeah, absolutely.
Mark, good morning. Mark, tell us about your business and what's your why? Why are you in the health and supplement business?
So, you know, I'm a registered nurse and I worked in oncology and was pretty focused on traditional medicine, but also very interested in integrative medicine. And essentially, my girlfriend at the time got stage 3B breast cancer. And so we wanted to support her through her chemotherapy to provide her, you know, the best nutrition and supplementation to support her body throughout chemotherapy. And I noticed the supplements were very expensive. And so we decided to, and I found out because I was a nurse that I could just buy these professional brands at wholesale. And once I did that, I started reselling on Amazon 12 years ago. Back then, nobody really knew about Amazon. It was just really like this gold mine that I was able to just churn money and resell a lot of things. But as the Amazon marketplace just changed and a lot of people went direct to consumer and MAP pricing issues, all those different things, we realized that we needed to pivot and make our own brand. So we really wanted to focus on high quality nutritional supplements that made an impact on people's lives, focusing on supporting your immune system, mostly post chemotherapy, because during chemotherapy, there's some challenges with regard to supplementation and interactions with chemotherapy, and getting oncologists to buy into that. So our primary goal was just to develop some great supplements that we felt were needed to support people's immune systems and bodies after chemotherapy, essentially to keep cancer from coming back. And I also was interested in radiation oncology because I noticed that people's skin was breaking down, and I knew there was like some better way to be able to create a product to support them through radiation therapy. So we partnered with an herbal skincare company who I knew made great products, was super smart. And we just came up with the best available ingredients that we thought had efficacy in skincare for radiation therapy. And then we had her add a whole bunch of other natural and organic ingredients and created our radiation cream. And then kind of pivoted that off to a different company called Derma Vitality because we felt we needed to have a real focus on oncology skincare. So we have the supplements and then we have the oncology skincare. So we're really trying to just develop this skincare line for oncology patients. We're going to branch out into gift sets for chemotherapy because we have some good data that shows there's a lot of traffic around that. People want to gift people that have cancer. So we're putting our creams in there, some bracelets, and then, you know, Leslie is my girlfriend is kind of our champion as far as being a breast cancer survivor and being the kind of public face of the company. And, you know, we've had some good growth with our immunity supplements on Amazon. Direct to consumer is pretty tough. You know, social advertising's been tough with the COVID and with the elections, and media buying's really expensive. But we've always, you know, I've basically tried to keep my company scalable with minimal human capital. And so basically I just am a total virtual company. I don't have any warehouses. I don't really have any employees. I just am a totally virtual company. So because I knew with Amazon, you can scale really well with no human capital, essentially very few employees. So that's where I kind of was able to, just order it, ship it to Amazon, and let them do the rest. I mean, when we were doing at the top of our sales, we're doing $4 million a year with, 3 people. And so that, besides Jeff takes 15%. So, Amazon's a little tough with margins.
Excellent. I think that's a great story, a great why again. Thank you so much for helping so many people who are suffering from cancer, and they can definitely definitely use your supplements to make sure that they do not go back in the cancer again, and you're there to help them out. Thank you so much, Mark, for coming over the panel. Over to our lady on the panel, Lauren. Tell us a little more about your business. And when this thing hit us 6-7 months back, were you reacting or were you responding? What mistakes did you make in the last 7 months? You got to unmute yourself, Lauren.
Sorry. Hi, I'm Lauren Haydel, Fleurty Girl. I'm very thankful for the timing of COVID for us here in New Orleans, because we got through Mardi Gras, which is about the first quarter of 2020. And for us, it's busier than Christmas. So that's where we do the bulk of our revenue for the year. So thankfully we got through that. So we've been able to survive kind of off of Mardi Gras. Back in November of last year, I opened a store in the brand new New Orleans airport, and it was our biggest capital investment of the entire company's history. And I just figured, this is going to be great. I mean, I'm not going in a mall, I'm going in an airport, and they're improving airports and building more airports. Well, we were open for 4 months and we've been closed now for 7 months. So we actually just reopened this morning. What's the Fleurty Girl, basically, we don't sell essentials. We sell fun stuff. We sell New Orleans souvenirs. We're not going to sell bottled water and aspirin at an airport. So it's unfortunate that for us, other stores were able to open and we just didn't really have anything. So I've been watching what they're buying this morning, and a lot of things with curse words have been our best seller over the past 7 months. It's crazy because that's the sentiment. So it's really kind of worked well for us. Our #1 seller during lockdown on our website was this pen set that had different variations of F word sayings. So it is kind of funny, the pivot that we took. I mean, we've always been kind of an edgy, sassy brand, but we've never sold the kind of products that we're selling now. We've always carried them, but they were never in our top 10 category. So I closed all the stores, obviously, when we went into lockdown, and we just pivoted to online, and it's been tremendous for us this year. Our stores are back open on the street. I did have a property in Mississippi, our neighboring state, and in a little beach town. And so I basically just put a bunch of furniture in there and products on a shelf and opened the doors. And it's actually keeping pace with our #1 and #2 stores. So since we didn't have the airport open, I just used my time to kind of open in a small beach town right in our neighboring state. And that's been really good for us. So that was a good pivot. I wish I'd done it maybe 30 days sooner to kind of capitalize on it, because the restrictions in Louisiana versus the restrictions in Mississippi are very different. So where people are not in the French Quarter, they're not on Bourbon Street, they were in this little coastal town. So it worked really well. Our mayor here in New Orleans has been holding the city back from reopening. So thankfully I have 8 locations that aren't just in New Orleans. Some of them are outside. And those stores are kind of carrying us right now, but it's really affected tourism. And our brand really relies heavily on tourism, especially that store in the airport. So it's been trying. My #1 goal is to beat last year's numbers. We still have a ways to go and 2.5 months to do it, but that is my ultimate goal, because I want to win over COVID. We've never had a year where we've not beaten the previous year. And so this is one of those years where I still want to keep our track record. So that's where we are. It's been good. Relying heavily on social media for us is the key. spending money on advertising for Facebook. We've sold tons of face masks. I mean, just we pivoted that way. We really didn't feel the COVID hit until football season, because our seasons kind of go like Mardi Gras, which is our biggest, then we have Christmas, and then there's football season. It's like our third big season. And with nobody going to football games, at Fleurty Girl is where you come to buy your cute t-shirt, your clear purse that you have to take into the stadium, your glitter for your face, your hair flare. Well, they're not doing all that because they're not going to games. So that passion for football and the whole experience is not there. And it's killing us. It's really, really killing us. You know, they're just not as excited. So, you know, this has been the hardest part for us because we don't have that revenue. The mask sales are dropping. So I'm just waiting for that next, what are we going to do next? I don't know, but I know it's coming.
Excellent. Wonderful. Lauren, thank you so much. I think pivoting is very important for Lauren, and she did pivot a lot, and the number one goal of meeting last year numbers and not breaking the track record is excellent. And what she said about not getting beaten up by COVID is an excellent aim, excellent goal to have. That can keep us moving. Thank you so much, Lauren, for coming on the panel.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you very much. Derek, you are selling online and you are selling offline. What is the website on? Which platform do you sell on?
Yeah, you know, originally we launched our platform on Shopify, but we actually about 8 months ago migrated to WordPress for a number of different reasons. You know, we felt like we could carve out a better SEO strategy. We also had some concerns about the long-term presence of CBD companies on Shopify. There were kind of some rumors coming out, which we're always very mindful of. You know, the past couple of years, especially in the CBD vertical, have been challenging online. For those who aren't aware, merchant processing alone was a monstrous headache for a number of years. We were getting kicked off and on of different processors almost weekly. We were paying fees of 15% for processing. So just overcoming those initial stages were very challenging for us. Fortunately, a lot of those have been mitigated, but there's still a lot of other challenges that we face online. So everything that CBD marketers are doing that might seem arduous or unnecessary, it's usually for a pretty good reason. So an example I can share there is that a lot of people don't realize just how restricted we are from some forms of marketing. So for example, we can't buy advertising on social media to direct traffic to our website. And there's a number of things that CBD companies are doing to get around that. Some CBD companies are actually hosting entirely second websites, which are void of some of the keywords that cause the restrictions in different marketing outlets. And as you know, we're restricted from a lot of broadcast marketing. So there's a lot of somewhat eccentric and creative things that CBD companies are having to kind of test in the market. And that's really where our decision came from, is what are we able to do? And then of course, we always have to be mindful. Obviously, we're very open to tips, tricks, and rule bending that may drive revenue and offer us access to new customers. However, at the same time, we want to make sure we're walking that line to where we're not actually risking any types of relationships with potential future advertisers, with retail partnerships, even with online resellers. So we're walking a tightrope pretty constantly. COVID hasn't really affected that one way or the other. COVID kind of has its own separate set of implications, but the CBD world is it's definitely entertaining to be a part of. Some of the things that our federal government are dragging their feet on, it kind of exemplifies some of the greater frustrations that we kind of experience with the federal government. So we're working through those. We do a really good job of kind of always staying on top of all these little minutia type of changes. And we're just ready to always react. And I think that's the key for any business, is knowing what challenges you might potentially be facing, and then having a game plan of different options which you can go to and mitigate or amplify when you need to.
Excellent, wonderful. So yes, Derek is struggling with some regulations and being over-regulated, this business, Derek is now trying to find ways out of everything. Derek, the customer are coming online and shopping from you. How do you analyze those customers, and what exactly do you analyze about them?
Sure, that's a great question. And before I jump into that, I just kind of wanted to recharacterize the way you phrase something. It's actually not that we're over-regulated, it's that we're under-regulated. And that's what's causing a lot of the question marks. It's what's causing a lot of timidness, both from retailers, especially chain retailers, but also from banks, from processors, from platforms, and from marketing opportunities. So it's not the over-regulation, it's actually the under-regulation. And the FDA is working towards offering guidance. It's just at a snail's pace, which again, that's caused retailers, brands, and customers to become regulators. So in terms of how we categorize our e-commerce customers, one thing that we try to be very mindful of is that we cannot be everything to everyone. So for anyone listening, any other panelists who are familiar with CBD, it's somewhat been positioned as a panacea, as a snake oil in some cases. Everything from very outlandish and very serious medical claims. We've seen companies marketing benefits to cancer and HIV and Alzheimer's and things like this. And first of all, we think that's very inappropriate and dangerous. And second of all, we think it's bad for the category and the industry. When a consumer comes in and they have an incorrect understanding or expectation of what CBD can do, then they're going to leave with a bad taste in their mouth and possibly some type of negative medical experience. So we're very mindful of that. So that being the case, it is true that CBD and full spectrum hemp oil, which specifically that's what Veritas Farms does, can offer a lot of benefits to a large variety of demographics. So while we try not to be everything to everyone, we do also have to recognize that our customers could be 18 to 80. And breaking our demographics down in that way has really helped us have a strong understanding of our different target demographics and how we're going to approach them. For example, we have our tincture, which we could target to that 18 to 80 crowd. We know that if we're targeting the 18 to 25, that high school, college level consumer or that young professional, their use cases are going to be entirely different than marketing that same product to a 70-year-old retiree who has fibromyalgia. So we're very, very conscious of who we're talking to, whether it's the same product, that marketing message of who we're talking to. So that's really what we're mindful of, is the different type of demographic coming in, knowing what products they generally gravitate towards, and then how to talk to that type of customer. We have a number of different product lines, very, very diverse product portfolio. So for example, within that 18 to 80 age range, we have topicals and ingestibles. We also have beauty products, and we even have pet products. So we have a very large, diverse set of different types of consumers. I think the other thing on the opposite side is not getting lost in your data. You have to know what segments of your data are impactful for different customer segments, and be able to, I think, sift through that data without the fear of overlooking something, without getting lost in the details, and still being decisive. So that's one of the other tightropes that we try and walk on the daily. We think we do a pretty good job of it, but we're still learning things about our business every day.
Thank you so much, Derek. I think that was a wonderful insight on customer segmentation and what to offer to whom from Derek. Thank you so much. Mark, you have been selling on Amazon since forever. Why should somebody not sell on Amazon?
There's no reason someone shouldn't sell on Amazon, but going to market on Amazon and having a thoughtful strategy and execution is critical. If you have a product that's not being sold on Amazon, it will be sold on Amazon relatively soon. Somebody will find it and want to sell it. So, the main thing about Amazon is controlling your brand in that ecosystem, having brand protection and investing in equity of your brand inside the platform, controlling your brand, controlling the customer experience, controlling everything about your brand in Amazon is critical. There's a lot, there's just a lot of nonsense that goes on in Amazon with people, gray market sellers and people acquiring your products through different channels and then reselling and using algorithmic repricing tools that essentially just erodes your price in the marketplace. Then if you have brick and mortar stores, those brick and mortar stores basically kind of get shut out because, consumers walk into your store, they find a brand, they look at it, they click on Amazon, they see what the price is. Somebody else is reselling it for 30% less than it is on the shelf. So, for long-term preservation of your brand in the brick and mortar space and also in general, that's the key. It's not if your brand's going to be sold on Amazon, it's when. And you should be that person selling your brand. You should have trademark, you should have brand registry. There's so many different execution strategies that you need to think about when you go on Amazon. And that's one of the other channels of my business is helping people clean up their brand, getting brand registry, controlling their content, and also all of the backend SEO and Amazon PPC. A lot of people don't understand if Amazon approaches them. Amazon doesn't care about your profit. They care about, you spending money inside their advertising platform. So they can make a lot of recommendations and have you want to start advertising, but you need to be super thoughtful about how you're going to do that. And looking at your ROAS and all of that, new customer acquisition, recurring revenue models are super critical inside Amazon. It's very difficult to grow a brand that's just a one-time product unless your margins are huge, especially with advertising. So having a consumable or something that somebody needs to renew every 30 days or whatever is critical too, and building that lifetime value of your customer inside that platform.
That's superb, Mark. So what Mark is suggesting is that you have no option but to sell on Amazon. Amazon will take a fair bit of your margin, 15%, 20%, 25%, depending on what you're selling. But you must sell on Amazon. There are different strategies of selling on Amazon. So you must have high margins if you're selling on Amazon. And if you're doing ads within Amazon, you got to have a strategy for it. And Mark is an expert in that. Thank you so much for sharing that piece of information, Mark. Jeremy, thank you again for missing your gym today morning for us. You have pivoted to a new business of ladders and grew to $15 million in about 6-7 months and 9 months. What strategy did you follow to grow a business from scratch to this level in the last 9 months?
So that was kind of a unique opportunity that we had. Home Depot was a buyer of our doors. They're the largest single buyer as far as retailers are concerned. They do have the exclusivity, or did have, on Murphy Door. They like the concept of Murphy Door, taking a regular door and creating functional space out of a doorway, giving them up to 20 cubic feet of storage in a door, making cabinets out of systems that work like a door. And that's kind of what the Murphy Door model was. We were approached a couple of years ago by by Home Depot, and asked us if we had any other ideas of home improvement or home products that we could take that would still create function but save space. For my fire background, there was a ladder on one of our ladder trucks that is called an attic ladder that we found unique. It just had some issues that weren't complete, like it didn't hinge in the center. It did go back in compact like ours do, but it also was a finger snipper. Like when it folds closed, it would take your fingers off. So we just messed with that idea and came up with a prototype, presented it to our buyer. Murphy Ladder ended up being one of the fastest products ever launched by Home Depot from inception to store shelf. September 4th was our agreement. They came in and agreed to buy $15 million in 2020 on September 4th, with the exception of making them roll by January 1st. So I had 3 months to execute a pretty large order of products for Home Depot. We secured base space. We secured quarter pallets and special buy spaces. And it was quite challenging. The biggest thing is, you know, at Home Depot, we lost one of our great merchandise execution planners in the middle of the rollout. So a young 25-year-old man, sudden cardiac arrest, that was in charge of rolling stores, ended up dying right before we land. So then it pushes a month and Corona hits, and it just ended up stacking. But what we really had to do, and what was unique, is we had a great relationship with Home Depot. So we had a brand that was sitting in a brick and mortar store, obviously a nice sized brick and mortar store, and we had faith and ability to execute with that brand, with Home Depot. So they weren't too afraid to take a chance and risk us executing. They had some faith. Obviously, ladder brands are the other struggle is they're the highest liability retail product on the market, right? They're the highest risk, high liability, a lot of problems every single day. So they're taking a pretty big risk on brands when they look at especially a ladder. So they're pretty reserved when saying, hey, we're contemplating letting you go to store. They have two brands. They're kind of a two-brand strategy when it comes to ladders. So we had to make sure that this ladder came out of the gate, executed in a way that was safe for all consumers, for one, but for two, had a unique talking point, as well as the ability to be shared and something to talk about outside of just the store. So what we did to help us is we teamed up with Harmon Brothers. I don't know if you guys are familiar with Harmon Brothers, but Harmon Brothers does a lot of viral advertising, like, I shouldn't use the word viral, but really popular advertising like Poopery or Squatty Potty and Purple Mattress, and a lot of the fun talking ads, Lumi currently. And we presented this ad strategy in September to Home Depot saying, look, this is a really unique ladder. It's going to offer some really good talking points and take away the pain points of ladders. How do you handle it? How do you move it around your house? How do you store a ladder, right? Most people are storing in the garage or outside. And ladders are pretty boring, ultimately. They're just a couple time a use a year. So we have to figure out a way to make it fun, making it exciting enough that we don't want our retailers to miss the bandwagon and say, hey, look, this is our go-to-market strategy. So at the same time that we presented this ladder, say this is these unique, cool things about Murphy Ladder, we presented them with a marketing strategy or go-to-market strategy that would make them kind of, I guess I shouldn't say FOMO, but it really is, you know, fear of missing out on some type of wave. If it's not Home Depot, it's Lowe's. We, just to add to that, the same day we met with Home Depot, 2.5 hours later, we were in Lowe's office presenting the same product. So they were really on it. I posted on LinkedIn. We had a video that got 25,000 views off my prototype in 24 hours. And then the next thing you know, we had all these meetings being scheduled in early March, and I was running around with a 3D printed ladder going, holy crap, this thing got really good traction. So when Home Depot showed interest, we went to it with a brand strategy and a social marketing strategy and a broadcasting strategy that would really help them understand that the risks they're taking are going to somewhat, I shouldn't say 100%, but somewhat be mitigated by our pre-planning go-to-market strategy, right? And being able to use a lot of the data that we have from Murphy Door and people that aren't just necessarily buying these monstrous houses for these very expensive doors that we sell. We showed them that, look, we have consumers that are living in apartments that just need space, and they're the same consumer that are going to need this type of ladder product. So we were able to correlate the demographics and geographics of our consumer and show them in a packet that was more of like a pitch deck, really, when you're trying to sell your business. And then you can show them you're selling your product in such a way that it was an easy decision for them to make. And truly, you know, it helps that you have good marketing agencies like Harmon Brothers that are on your shoulder, that have such a high success rate or strike rate in their marketing strategies. So ultimately, a lot of it has to do with teams. Derek, I just want to compliment you. When I listen to you talk, you're very eloquent and you're nice to talk to. And Mark, you have a lot of education and you're able to talk to those pain points that I've felt with Amazon myself. So it's fun to be on a panel with gentlemen like you and Lauren too. I sympathize with that strategy and understand it, because we've felt that in the like New Orleans type stores. Those are all, we're all kind of living inside this new universe that's really difficult to kind of navigate. And some of us, like my next door neighbor, for example, is going out of business right now. And here we sit in the highest growth, highest speed, we can't keep up. And we're truly sharing parking lots. And it's really hard to watch because you see what's different and why, and it's kind of not a plan that you can make. So Products, I think, are the key in certain timings, but to go to market, the right team is 100% it. And obviously the right product that keeps you open and ability to sell. In Lauren's case, like not being able to stay open with some of the souvenir type products sometimes. So I hope that answered that. That make any sense?
Absolutely, absolutely, Jeremy. That was detailed and very well answered. Jeremy, are you also selling online? What platform do you use?
Yeah, absolutely, we sell online. So believe it or not, 80% of our product on at Murphy Door, 80% is direct to consumer. So even though Home Depot does carry our doors and they do a lot of volume, the large majority is sold through .com. And we use Shopify currently. Oddly enough, we moved from WordPress, and there's some unique challenges going into Shopify from WordPress that we had there was more freedom a little bit in the WordPress environment for us. Shopify has been a really nice tool for ease of use for some of our consumers. I would say as far as the platform itself, it is great for the consumer. It is really tough for us on the inside, right? As we're trying to build a unique experience for our consumer and make them confident that they could come in and buy a door that's from $600 to $10,000. It's really hard to get somebody to convert on that type of processing or checkout. Where they're not able to touch, feel, see, right? And it's really hard to be limited by some of the restrictions that Shopify gives us to not really go more into a brand experience, kind of giving them like a build a car environment, or I don't know what you want to call it, but anyhow, the word slips me. But anyhow, just trying to design something that really changes as you go. They're limited, and I hope that they work towards some more freedoms like WordPress has. But ultimately, the consumer side, that we've seen a large increase with the Shopify platform, not just a little. I mean, it's a significant increase in conversion. But I believe that if you could integrate the two platforms together and create the ultimate user experience, it would do another tenfold jump. So I wish there's best of both worlds, but it seems like I can't seem to find the perfect one. As far as Murphy Ladder is concerned, of course, it's going to be hard to catch up to Home Depot's volume when it comes to ladders, but we have a high conversion ratio in the ladder side as well. Most of our traffic through Shopify, we are trying to push to Home Depot, simply having that one type experience through the in-store channel and minimizing the difficulty to get the ladder to them. But most of the time when you need a ladder, you buy a ladder at the store. So we're trying to push them to the in-store purchase.
Super, wonderful. It's a great strategy, Jeremy. And you are somebody who has moved from WordPress to Shopify, whereas Derek has taken the other route. It will be interesting to know more from both of you about these switches. Lauren, you also sell online. What platform do you use?
We use a platform that is with our point of sale system in the stores so that everything's just kind of connected. It's called Lightspeed. So we're able to, like, if you're in the store and you want to see if another store has it or if it's on the website, it's just one click on a screen. It just works for our setup.
So you don't use Shopify. Is Lightspeed and a platform where you can sell online as well?
Mm-hmm. Yes, they have an e-commerce side and a point of sale side.
Wow, so that's why perhaps Shopify also launched a point of sale system for players like yourself.
We just have over 100,000 SKUs, and I just can't even imagine moving it. Like, we just can't right now. After Mardi Gras, possibly next year, if we have one.
Excellent, wonderful. Lightspeed was your first choice. Did you compare it with Shopify or Magento or WooCommerce or WordPress? How did you?
We had Lightspeed as our point of sale software originally. We had Magento. It was way too complicated. We needed to be able to have, the gift cards. We needed the multi-store was our issue. I don't know if Shopify has that, but originally we worked on Macs, and Lightspeed worked with the Mac computers in the stores. And then they launched the e-commerce. So we got off of Magento. So we're just kind of layered. We're kind of in thick with Lightspeed right now because we have so many products.
Mm-hmm. Excellent, understood. So you spend a lot of money on ads. What about SE? So what is your ROAS? Return on ad spend.
Your video froze on me.
Yeah.
Can you repeat that?
So what's your ROAS? Return on ad spend.
We have a really good ROAS, but we do all of our advertising on Facebook through Facebook. So.
Yeah. So if you're spending $100 on Facebook, what revenue do you get from those ads? 2x, 3x, 4x, 5x?
I would say it's around 3x. We're having our best online sales ever. And I know I definitely see, when we push products, especially ones that aren't so New Orleans centric, and we do like a national scale ad campaign, we really seem to do a lot better that way. We're still learning. I mean, without the stores being open for so long, we kind of played around with some things, but we're all back. We're all back as of today. We're all back open.
Excellent. More power to you, Lauren. Thank you so much for that input. Derek, you spoke about segmentation. Do you know which customers you're losing online? Which online customers will never come back and shop from you? Do you know them?
We have a decent idea of where the leakage occurs. Yeah. And we actually fight pretty hard to get those customers back. The customers that we're losing, it's more for experimentation with other brands. Sometimes they want to try, a brand comes out with a new flavor or a unique twist on a delivery method. There isn't a lot of brand loyalty in the CBD space just yet. We certainly do have our brand evangelists that wouldn't leave us. Many of the other, kind of big five brands definitely do. But that's where a lot of the leakage occurs, is with consumers still feeling out, kind of where they want to land, whether you're talking about what type of product, what brand, even within, across brands, there's many different types of products, even amongst tinctures. They could be full spectrum, which means they have all the cannabinoids, including a little bit of THC. They could be broad spectrum, which means they're THC free. They could be CBD isolate or CBG isolate or CBN isolate. So there's many different nuances that the consumer has yet to experience. So that's really where we see the leakage, is when they go to experiment with other brands, experiment with other products. And we're pretty aware of that. And that's really one of the things that really inspires and crafts our new product development strategy. So we're looking at that data. We're also looking at other CPG trends, especially, especially in health and wellness, nutraceuticals. We probably look at a lot of the same types of ingredients that Mark does. In fact, we're coming out with a functional line of products, which will be infused with our full spectrum hemp oil, just to kind of grab pieces of the larger health and wellness market, which ultimately, that's where we really see ourselves, not as so much of a full spectrum hemp oil brand, but as a health and wellness lifestyle brand centered around the ingredient of full spectrum hemp oil. So that's how we plan to win our customers back. And that's how we plan to win a bigger share of the marketplace.
Hey, Derek, I got a question for you. Do you make liposomal formulations of CBD yet?
We don't, but we do think that liposomal and nano encapsulation is an interesting technology, but we haven't forayed into that yet. Mark, is that what you do, or is that one of the technologies that you use, is liposomal?
Yeah, I have a great manufacturer who's making liposomal CBDs and stuff. So ping me if you want. I'll hook you up with them. They have a great, testing production process. They make the best liposomes pretty much in the country. So if you're interested in talking to them, I can refer you over.
Yeah, that'd be great. Thank you. I appreciate that. And Amit, that's what's great about these panels, man. Thank you.
Yes, thank you so much. So all the panelists are such a giver. They would automatically give what they know, what they have, and that's why you guys are talking and helping people. A lot of people can use your knowledge, use your help. Mark, one question to you. There are customers, there are clients, there are fans. Customers come and go, clients stay with little longer, and fans love you. How do you convert your customers into your fans?
I think customer service is like our number one priority. On our website, I made sure that we have a phone number right on the header. I mean, I think about all the frustrations that I have when I shop online or trying to contact a company. We respond quickly to our customers. If there's a problem with the order, I never argue with them. I just send them a free product. I'm like, it leaked or something damaged. I'm like, oh, here's a free product right away. I don't ever argue with them. I don't, quibble over that because for us, you know, lifetime value of the customer is critical. So if I have somebody who's, you know, if my customer acquisition cost was $15, but they are going to purchase for me, you know, from me for a year or forever, that's, you know, that customer acquisition cost was, you know, it's pretty high. So if I do acquire a customer, I want to make them a loyal customer. I do that same with Amazon. I don't ever argue with people. And I think, you know, one thing I did learn from Amazon is that the customer always comes first, that you want to have the most customer-centric company, and that you want to respond quickly to any customer-facing issues and always make them a satisfied customer. You want to give them a wow experience is what I would say. And, you know, with our customer service, we do get a lot of comments like, wow, nobody's ever done that for me. Thank you so much, you know. So, you know, sometimes we even refund their money and send them a free bottle, like because we want them to have confidence in purchasing from us, and we want them to, you know, trust us, and customer trust and loyalty is critical to growing that lifetime value and your overall revenue over time.
Absolutely. I think that's a very good piece of advice. I was reading this book of Jeff Bezos. It's called The Everything Store of Amazon Journey. And what they mentioned is that in every meeting, Jeff would have a chair empty, and that empty chair would belong to a customer. So in a meeting, he would assume a customer is sitting, and he would, whatever decision that they make, they would assume how will the customer say, what will the customer say, what will be their opinion. So they will have an empty chair for a customer, so that in every meeting they are able to take the customer's viewpoint as well, like a virtual customer's viewpoint as well. That's a great bit of advice from you, Mark, putting customer on the front. Mark, or do you also sell on your own platform, or do you only sell on Amazon?
No, we have Shopify. We moved actually from WooCommerce to Shopify. I was just too frustrated with, you know, all of the updates and plugins and the speed of the website and all of that. We're pretty simple. We don't have a lot of SKUs, so we moved to Shopify. Most of my sales are still on Amazon. You know, I work with a lot of different companies, you know, optimizing their Amazon sales. And even when we dump a lot of money into D2C, we see this just huge overflow traffic into Amazon. We see this big brand lift. And a lot of companies that I've worked with have, if they weren't on Amazon, they were afraid that they were going to cannibalize their direct-to-consumer sales. But that's not what we saw. What we saw is that we saw an overall increase, and we track those customers that hit that website. They're like, oh, can I go to Amazon? They look, they've converted over on Amazon. And then the bottom line is, you know, if you're a new customer to a website, you got to enter your name, your credit card info. And if you're on Amazon, you can just click and buy it, you know, real quickly. And they love that ease of purchasing. But, you know, when we dumped a lot of money into Facebook ads and a lot of other things for some of our brands, we saw a halo effect for sure. We saw growth on D2C and Amazon both. And one of the biggest drivers in the algorithm of the A9 algorithm of Amazon is converting traffic from outside to inside Amazon. They love that. That is, you know, product reviews are definitely crucial, but converting traffic from outside to inside Amazon is one of the strongest ways for you to grow your organic SEO placement on search.
Can you talk a little bit more about converting the traffic from outside to inside for our viewers to know more? What does that mean that?
So you know, so if you're advertising outside of Amazon, you can develop specific strategies to drive that traffic over to Amazon. The IDA platform that I work with, the artificial intelligence derived advertising with George at Wellington Research, he can segment and decide how much traffic he wants to drive to Walmart, if he wants to drive it to Amazon, or if he wants to drive it to D2C. So we just segment that traffic. In all honesty, I don't know the super complexities of how he does that with his IDA platform. I just know that he's able to do that. So, you know, if we're going for new customer acquisition and we're driving directly to Amazon, we know that because they can convert quickly, and for ease of checkout, that there can be a higher likelihood that they will convert if we're driving into Amazon.
Excellent. Wonderful. Thank you so much for that insight, Mark. Jeremy, do you also do a lot of ads?
Oh yeah, our ad spend is significant here. We spend anywhere from 150 to 300,000 a month in ad spend running through social, Facebook, Instagram, Pinterest, House. We do a lot. And it'll do the ebbs and flows of business every day. Like during Corona, we really capitalized when everybody started to pull back. You saw a major retraction in ad spend, and we doubled and then tripled our ad spend. So when the ad space and the ad buying got cheap is when we really started to throw down. We bought up as much as we could, and we hogged up all that we could, not only on social media, but as well as on broadcast advertising through like HGTV, DIY Network, and Fox and CNN. We bought as much news as we could. Obviously, that the news media spiked really quickly, and as people kind of settled into the homes, all the rest of the media went up as well. But at the same time, we had a pretty good relationship where we doubled down when stuff got tough. The media buyers for us were able to work out some pretty good rates, and we've been able to maintain them. But you know, I try to run the opposite direction of where crowds are going, and I know that sounds kind of odd, but if I see that everybody's running away from something, there's an opportunity there that's kind of unique, where obviously the costs are going to drop, and if there is an opportunity to build your brand or speak from a megaphone, even though advertisers are running, you're kind of getting the mountain to be by yourself, so you can scream about your brand, even though there are people there. I didn't know how many people were going to watch, but I knew they weren't going to turn off their computer and stop looking at Google while this pandemic was running, and so many people ran away. I'm like, frickin' double this wage, and we did that at a double rate for about a week and a half, and then I tripled our ad spend. So during the month of March, I think we pushed probably close to $500,000 in ad spend just that month, when everybody was sitting, getting a little bit scared. You know, it was really scary to do too. I mean, kind of running, like Derek said earlier, on a lot of faith and a lot of data, and just trying to believe in yourself, even though it may not be the most popular thing. And it was a hard pitch to some of my people here, but we did it, and we were thankful that we did. We saw huge benefits from it.
Excellent. So of course you got to what Jeremy is saying, or trust yourself, trust your guts. You got to take risk. Sometime it will pay, sometimes it will not, but this time it paid. Jeremy, what's your ROAS, return on ad spend?
Right now, 376% on Murphy Door is what our average ad spend is. During Corona, we got up to 570% ROAS. On Murphy Ladders, running around 354% as of reports from yesterday, as high as 700% when we're running our ads through HGTV with that new ladder luchador video. I don't know if you've had a chance to see the comedic one put together by Harmon Brothers, but depending on what's running, we see a higher rate. The unique thing with advertising is there becomes quick brand fatigue, and I think there's more fatigue faster than most of us believe there is. You know, when we take the role of the seat, like Jeff Bezos would say, the empty seat, what does that consumer think? Well, he doesn't want to see that same ad. It's funny the first time, sure. It's fun the first time, sure. Maybe the second time they might catch something. But I think as advertisers, we have this tendency to keep writing the same ad, thinking there's a lot of people, and there is. But if you think about how we segment our demographics and our geographics, we have a tendency to be self-fulfilling in our conversions. And I think we forget that. There's two problems we do as marketers. And I think one is we drink too much of our own Kool-Aid, it can be a problem. And we want to brag about ourselves so much that we forget about what we're really trying to sell. That's been a problem for us in the past. And we have to really consider, are we drinking too much of our Kool-Aid? Are we pushing too much of ourselves? Are we being too braggadocious about who we are? And we can do that as brands. And you see big brands do that all the time. And it gets exhaustive to the consumer. And the other thing is to make sure we don't wear our consumers out. And when I say self-fulfilling, for example, I mean, when I advertise this store and you come in and you see this store and I keep showing you the same door, then I'll say, hey, I know that Amit buys this door or this ladder, but I've shown you only that door that many times over and over, and that's the door you're going to buy because that's the only door you know about, right? So we've been trying to do a better job of really mining our consumer and finding out their information and showing more and more ad specific or product specific advertising to those. And it's easier to do obviously digital than on broadcast advertising. But you know, when you can take that same learnings from your digital ad spend and put it towards larger when you had the opportunity to go nationwide advertising, to use that data. Don't shrug it off. And the unfortunate side with broadcast advertisers, when they're charging you $10,000 and $20,000 for a 15-second spot, up to $40,000, you know, you spend a lot of cash, but at the same time, they kind of do the same old story. You know, why does grandma cut both ends of the ham off? It's because they've done it that way their whole life, and they just tell you this is how you spend. Well, we've done some changes inside our strategies that are completely against what the broadcast marketers will tell you to do. But we just took our learnings from social and applied it to the national broadcast platform. And we're seeing that it works. One is the ad exhaustion that I was saying earlier. That it's quick to occur, and I don't want to watch the same story. I feel like if I can teach someone all about my brand to the best of my ability, do a funny ad, and then do a founder's story so they kind of understand where this idea came from, Mark, much like yours, the background story of what your wife experienced and why, the what and the why of what you're doing really matters to consumers. And I feel like we get more emotionally connected to a brand when we have that unique opportunity to give some background story with it. For me, it's a firefighter. For you, it's a wife with cancer. And whatever our mission is, I think you can bring a spin of funny to grab attention and get people there. Why is that firefighter wearing a luchador hat? And then the next story, have you and your family explaining, you know, what it's done for you and why you've done it, and then the reason why you founded it. And I think if you bring this full hemisphere in and have your consumer talking about your product with a funny ad, but then bringing an understanding of your brand, like you're related to it in some facet, that you understand the owner, his family, backstory. There's a unique power shift that occurs where you can convert what you were saying earlier, or the question, how do you convert a customer or a client to a customer to a fan? I think they have to have a unique understanding of you and who you are, and they'll know that when Mark, for example, when you have something bad that comes in your order, that it will be replaced immediately. I wanted to add to your comment. We tell our people, we're not the moral police, right? If the customer has a bad experience and they're telling you they have a broken door, they're missing a mag lock, or they're missing an RFID chip or something, yeah, they're several $100s, just send it to them. We're not in charge of deciding whether they got the product or whether they didn't. If we want to be moral police for the whole United States and every other country that we serve, we're going to spend a lot of time spinning wheels. So just buy what the customer's saying. Yes, there's 2 to 3% of the people that are going to lie to you, and that's okay. But don't spend all your time trying to find out who the 2% of the liars are when 98% of the people are great, right? So those are the things that I kind of try to talk to my people. It's hard to convert. It's funny, you see these customer service reps up there, and I'll hear them get a little defensive. And I love the fact that they want to protect our brand and our you know, our cash flow and all those things that come with it. But I have to remind them sometimes, I appreciate your concern for our cash, but more involved, try to go on their side, and you have to be the attorney or the advocate for the consumer for us. And we don't want to be a hard fight. We just want to say, you know what, this customer just had this bad experience. Their door got delivered with broken glass on it. We need to send them a new door. It's $4,500. It'll be there. We'll have it try to produce in 3 days. Let's get it out of our door. So, you know, there's a lot to learn, but it's been some learnings, right?
Yes.
And I've felt a lot, and it's okay.
Yes. So clearly, Jeremy, you're bang on it. A very strong story, linking it to some humorous, funny ad, and making sure that you have a very strong why. Come along a very long way to explain somebody what you do and selling a product easily. To that, I also want to show you something. I think what we are also understanding here is the panel is doing a lot of ads, and the ROAS has been anywhere between 3x to 4x to 5x. At Enalito, we also have a Shopify, Magento, WooCommerce app, and which also helps you do a very, very wonderful segmentation of customers. If you see here, for example, we have a grid here which talks about recency and frequency. Now, this grid is of customers who are for one of our clients who's selling wines. So if you look at these people, defection risk people, these are about 382 customers who gave a revenue of $72,000, but the recency score is 2, which means they came back at least 200 days back or 150 days back. So if you can know who these customers are, they came around 160 days back, and that is why you are about to lose these customers, and you can reach out to these people on Facebook, on Instagram, and LinkedIn, and increase your ROAS. Our customers on we have about 25 customers in the US and who are selling wines online or on Shopify, WordPress, and different channels, apparel, fashion, and we have been able to help them on ROAS a lot. We will now come to Lauren for the last question. Lauren, a lot of people are looking up to you. A lot of women are looking up to you for your advice on starting a new e-commerce business. What advice would you give them?
Social media really is it. We have window washers here at the building, so my dog that's here with me is going nuts. I share everything on social media. So I mean, if you're starting a business online, I mean, that's just kind of what works for us.
So in the last round, we have just about 5 minutes to go. If any of you have a question to a fellow panelist, please go ahead and shoot.
Oh, Derek, it's, you know, I find it interesting because I've been in the supplement space for a long time. I mean, are you seeing, because the FDA is so busy with COVID and therapeutics and vaccines, like, seems like CBD is just going to, you know, grind to a halt. And I totally, as a nurse, like, it's just the wild, wild west. There's no guidelines. You know, people are selling CBD at the taco stand and everything. And just to give, you know, CBD the kind of validity that it deserves from a therapeutic perspective, you know, it would be nice to see, you know, the FDA do that. And the American, you know, Botanicals Council and those guys, like, it's almost like you guys have to come together to regulate yourself, to demonstrate that, you know, you're going to provide a solid quality product and all of those things. It's almost like you have to do it yourself to show the FDA that you're worthy, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, you're absolutely right, Mark. And you know, you've kind of seen the infancy of that in organizations like the Hemp Roundtable, which is a consortium of kind of the leading brands. And we even have some retailers on the Hemp Roundtable. Southeastern Grocers just joined us just a few months ago, which is Winn-Dixie and Bi-Mart, of course. So we're starting to aggregate in a way that's letting us put pressure on the FDA and a little bit on the USDA as well. But like you said, man, there's so many other factors that they are dealing with, whether it's COVID or even the all the NSAIDs and sorry, I'm forgetting the name of that prescription, the drug pain prescription that was such a hot topic last year. So anyways, they're dealing with a number of different issues, and unfortunately, you're right, they're kind of dragging their feet on CBD. And it is that consortium of companies so far that has kind of offered at least the larger chain retailers some sort of guidance on compliance. You know, we kind of have a 50,000-foot view of a skeletal framework for the industry. The challenge is as much effort as we've put into that as a siloed organization or as our consortium, is that ultimately what's going to be adopted by the FDA? We don't know. Are they going to come in and totally rewrite the retailer standard operating procedures and testing guidelines? We don't know. So yeah, it's a good point. You know, we've just started to do an okay job of kind of corralling our influence so that we can exercise it together, but we have a long way to go.
Great. Anyone has any further question to a fellow panelist?
Derek and Mark, I just taken to your two questions into consideration. Isn't there a way to create some type of approval platform, some group that says, hey, this is top quality, setting those standards where you would have those? To me, it does seem like the Wild West. There's a lot of people. I'm in Utah, obviously, so many people right on the border of a bunch of people growing a bunch of different medications. And we have legalized medical purpose marijuana here in town. And I have some very, very good friends in CBD that are fairly large, but I've also seen that cut. You've seen them get a little bit more stressed over the last several months with the same problems that you're experiencing over there, Derek. And I just asked him, his name's Mark as well. And I said, why isn't there some type of group that oversees and does quality tests and, you know, validate that with using some of your own products and failing some of your own products, saying, hey, this doesn't meet our standard. And then really having, if no one else is going to do it, then to me, it looks like a unique opportunity where you guys could jump in and say, hey, this is going to be the standards. And you present yourself to the federal government and to your consumer as the authority, not just you, but this body that oversees this group. And whether they're approved by it or not, it's at least there's something for now to ride till the federal government comes in and decides to help set those standards. Maybe you set the standards and give it to the federal government. I don't know.
Yeah, you're right. I think that that sounds reasonable, right? Yeah, it's a long road. Yeah, and we have seen the infancy of that with the Hemp Roundtable, and then they've actually come out with, and I'm going to draw a blank on it, but it is kind of the hemp guidance that's been offered by the Hemp Roundtable. The challenge that you see there is there's also a big fragmentation in the industry. So you have a lot of brands that have, a decent market share that don't necessarily want to join the Hemp Roundtable because they're newer or there's conflicting ulterior motives. Some brands want to market towards Alzheimer's. The Hemp Roundtable doesn't allow that. Some brands want to market towards fibromyalgia. Some brands want to make claims on specific cannabinoids. So you're absolutely right. There's just so much fragmentation that causes a few different splits or a few different kind of factions within the industry that are kind of vying for what they think their special interest is best suited by. So there's still some, growing pains that kind of need to shake out. There's definitely, some trunk slammers with bad intentions that need to kind of be weeded away, no pun intended. But no, and it's funny, you guys have almost just as great insight on the industry as I do. So, and that's because you guys are obviously online marketers.
Excellent.
I'm just curious. As I watch this industry grow, and it's exciting, and I've myself went and visited. I went to Colorado and tried to buy into some places, and it's pretty funny how protective they're. I'm like, can I just buy the warehouse? I don't know. I'm interested. I'd love to play. And I don't know anything about it outside of that. I've been obviously drug testing my whole career as a firefighter, paramedic, and I've never been involved in any type of usage outside of when I was in high school. And yes, I did inhale in high school, and I did try to like it, but it wasn't my jam. So I decided to go back to politics. But of course, CBD being different than marijuana, I just was like, hey, how would you take this as the run in the very beginning stages? The unique fact, we have a manufacturing facility in Kentucky as well, and they have huge tobacco farms. And one of my great friends is on tobacco farms, and they look at that next step. Obviously, Kentucky isn't allowing marijuana growth or any of that type of stuff yet, but CBD is allowed. And I'm thinking of these ways to convert the dying plant of tobacco and looking at these giant, enormous opportunities sitting through the fields of Kentucky and how they're already ready to start growing those seeds of tobacco plants and taking that straight into marijuana or hemp or whatever it may be. I just think it gives you an easy position to be able to execute. But where it is so Wild West and you have some bad actors, which unfortunately is in every industry, there's bad actors that are out to drive margin down, which I don't understand. Cannibalism. I understand capitalism really well. I just don't understand when gas stations open across the street from each other with the mission of driving down margin. It makes no sense to me. I don't get involved in businesses that do that. But I think that there's an opportunity where industry in itself as a whole can help lift and create margin to make an appetizing company for one, and products that can maintain quality for two. And I even had this with Home Depot the other day. They are very heavy on driving down margin, and they're forgetting that there's a quality level here that people are willing to pay for. And I'm not just talking about my brand, but I bought a tape measure the other day and I used it one freaking time and it broke, right? I'm like, for heaven's sakes, just because this was $10, I would have paid $30 gladly if I didn't have to drive back. Oddly enough, I was 4 hours away from the closest retailer for a hardware store. Like, for heaven's sakes, I wish I could find a good one, right? And same goes for you. And I think there's an opportunity for your type of industry. And Mark, you're the same, that where we really set a higher standard and we're not trying to play in the margin game. I've had a lot of pressure on our doors for that, for the very purpose. You guys need to charge less money, but that's not my goal. My goal is to get the consumer that I really want, and I really want to be able to give them exactly what they expect, and their out-of-the-box experience is exactly what they paid for. It wasn't because it was $10 that they were happy. It's because it was $30. and there was a certain value to it that became highly qualified, and we hit and we dotted every I and crossed every T of their expectation, creating a fan instead of a client.
Wonderful.
Right?
Yeah.
Excellent. Thank you so much. Thank you very
Yeah, it's about the customer experience too with ingestibles too, you know, so they're trying these things and, you know, the taste, the quality, and the feeling that they get. And, you know, let's not forget the placebo effect is real. So, you know, the belief in the product that it's quality, that it works is, you know, half the battle.
Yeah. Well, you guys have a fun industry. I'll tell you what, it's really interesting.
Yep. Thank you. Thank you so much, guys. I think we're running out of time. Panelists also have other meetings. So I would take this opportunity to thank you all. Really loved the conversations. We're going to be dissecting this video into small pieces and sending you out. We'll tag you as well when we post these videos, small 5-minute videos on different channels. Guys, thank you very much. Take care of yourself and a fantastic week ahead.
You too. Have a great
Thank you very
day.
much.
Appreciate you guys.
You guys.
Best of luck to everyone. Bye-bye.
See you guys.
Bye-bye.